Super intense rock and roll music to start the podcast. Fight Society, man. What's up? It's Damon Martin and Jeremy Loper. In the opposite order. I'm Loper. This is Damon.
We're not really sure who we are, actually.
How about I introduce myself as you? I was like, I'm going to be Damon for a second.
We were just talking about creating songs for ourselves, so why not,
Yeah, well, I was saying it was pretty cool how you and I made it on the Jamie Josta podcast, his new extension of that called Fight Buddies, and you can find it on the Josta Show podcast if you guys go check it out. But, Josta wrote a song for Matt.
Yeah.
And we were like, man, that is just so cool. If he wrote a song for me, Matt's immortal. He's, he's badass UFC fighter. I train a little bit. Let's not understate it. 20 years of my life has been devoted to martial arts, but on the other hand, full time, I talk on the radio. So I believe my song would be like, I talk a lot.
Doesn't quite have the same ring as I am the immortal.
Don't shut the fuck up.
I like microphones.
Bro, listen, you weren't in my dojo, man. You don't know what I had to go through. You don't know my hard times.
My hard times.
I was crescent kick almost came your way. I just want to keep you on your toes. So this week we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. You have a terrific interview with Max Holloway that we're going to get to later on in the program. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I talked to Max twice, funny enough. So it's kind of a two-part interview.
A stalker, man.
Well, it's like a two-part interview because I interviewed him for the Pettis fight on Monday, and then I think by Wednesday the fight had become a title fight in the main event. So I had to call him back and do a second interview.
Oh,
so it's
that's
kind of like
crazy.
Kind of like a two-part interview. So I texted him and I was like, "Hey, do you mind doing another interview with me?" He's like, "Oh, no problem." And so we did a second interview. So the two part is kind of like half of it we talk about Pettis, the other half we talk about the title. So it's a interesting interview. It'll all play together, but the first part you'll be like, why is he not asking about the title? It's because I talked to him before the fight was made.
So I am so conflicted, man. You have no idea. This fight, now that it's so close.
Pettis Holloway?
Yeah, because I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this before. So being a traditional martial artist, I really respect guys that are, right?
Yeah.
And, so Lyoto Machida is always held a special place in my heart, for guys like that, Anderson Silva, blah, blah, blah.
You keep pictures of them up in your locker.
I do, actually. Well, at my mini dojo at my house where I meditate. Hello, Lyoto. I've always been a huge fan of Duke Roufus.
Yeah.
And what he does, what he represents, I think he's a man of great character. I think he's, tremendous martial artist, producing champions like Anthony Pettis.
Really good dude too, by the way.
Yeah,
really
for the first time I got to meet him in Cleveland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was with Tyron Woodley, and of course, Dean Thomas and I are good friends.
Yeah.
And so I said, "What's up to Tyron?" And Duke was there, and I was like, "This is a cool moment. Get to meet Roufus."
Yeah, Roufus is a good dude.
He's so cool, man.
Really good guy.
Nice guy. So I've always rooted for Pettis because I always thought I come from a Kempo karate background. Obviously he's a Taekwondo guy, but everybody always shunned the traditional martial arts. So I always tend to pull for those guys a little bit. And, so Anthony Pettis, coming back to the UFC and winning the title from Vincent Henderson, it was awesome to watch. And, at one point, he was unbeatable, it seemed like,
I thought he was going to be the first guy to go, because lightweight's never really had a long reigning champion. You know what I mean? I think BJ still holds the record with 3 defenses. It's not easy to defend the lightweight title. And I thought he was going to be the guy. I thought Pettis was going to be the guy. Was not that I didn't like Dos Anjos. Dos Anjos is an amazing fighter. I just thought Pettis would beat him. You know what I mean? I thought Pettis would beat a lot of the guys. You know what I mean? I thought the guy that would give Pettis the biggest problem would be Khabib, the wrestling.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that's what's hurt Pettis in the past is wrestling. So I was shocked that Pettis wasn't, a 3 or 4 time defending champ, honestly. So,
but Max Holloway is one of my favorite fighters, man. I love following this guy. He's just rough. He's incredible in the clinch. He's just hard strike, everything you want, man. He's like BJ Penn, but lanky and just nasty. And he's got that Hawaiian fighting spirit, which, those guys, BJ Penn, one of my favorites of all time. You know what I mean? So you kind of look at Max Holloway, you have a little bit of, BJ Penn in there, with the Hawaii influence and everything. So that's what I mean. I'm so conflicted, but I'm conflicted from a statistic point too. These guys on paper, you could, depending on what day it is, either guy could really win the fight.
I think it also depends on what Pettis shows up. Because his first featherweight fight, he didn't look great.
Yeah, he definitely looked sucked out.
He looked very drained out. He looked, I mean, not to say he had a bad performance. He had a great first round, and then he gassed out a little bit. And then he won the third, I think it was, with the guillotine choke. You know what I mean? Good for him. But 5-round fight, cut and wait for the second time against a beast like Max Holloway. That's not
for
easy.
Sure.
Like, I thought it was going to be a tough go for Pettis in a 3-round fight with Max Holloway. 5 rounds, though, that's a whole other layer. So I don't know, man.
How old is Anthony Pettis now?
30-something, 32 maybe, something like that. He's not very old.
Yeah, but it's really strange. If he were to lose this fight, like, he's in a weird place, right?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. In normal situations, this would not happen to Pettis. He's one fight into his career, you know what I mean? Like, he's one fight into his featherweight career.
Sure.
He is getting a big fight with Max Holloway, who's ranked number 2. It's a great fight, and that would obviously bump him pretty high up in the division where you would imagine Anthony Pettis would be fighting. Maybe he would fight Frankie Edgar next or something like that, but to get a title fight right away, I mean, this is kind of do or die for him, because if he loses this fight, getting what I call an accidental title shot when you're not supposed to fight for the title, that's a gift. You know what I mean? That's a gift. You run with it. But to actually earn your way back there off a loss takes a lot longer. You know what I mean? Like, if he loses this fight, and let's not forget, he had lost 3 fights in a row when he came to featherweight. You know what I mean? He was 0-3. He beat Charles Oliveira. Good for him. Choked him out. But if he loses this fight, that means he's now 1-4 in his last 5. I mean, that's not, that's tough to come back from, lightweight or featherweight. So yeah, this is a big moment for Anthony Pettis.
And whoever wins that belt is just going to be the victim of so much trash talk at the hands of Conor McGregor whenever he decides to come back.
And you know what? In a way, I think deservedly so. I didn't like the fact that they stripped him, especially for this.
I was shocked. I was like,
it's not Max's,
kind of shocked.
It's not Max's fault. It's not Pettis' fault. So none of this is on them, and none of it's really on Aldo either. It's just like, this is a main event fell apart, and the UFC needed a main event, so they had to turn this into a title fight. I thought it was a dumb idea. I don't like it. I don't like title fights being made out of necessity for something like that. It's one thing to say, you know what, Conor hasn't fought featherweight in a year. We're going to introduce an interim title now.
They kind of did that already with Jose,
well,
right?
That's what I'm saying. They made the mistake. They should not have introduced a featherweight interim title back in July. That was the mistake. That was the problem, because Jose was one fight removed from getting knocked out by Conor. Conor clearly wasn't coming back to fight him. Great. I understand that. I understand Jose had a point about getting the rematch, all this different stuff, but you're 6 months removed from that. Aldo hadn't fought since he beat Conor. Why introduce the interim title? It just made no sense to me back then. I think that was, once again, a title fight out of necessity. They wanted to add another title fight to UFC 200 because Conor wasn't going to be there. You know what I mean? Once they figured out Conor and Diaz wasn't happening, they had to really load that card up. They had to stack it.
Last minute Brock Lesnar FedExed in.
They had to stack that card, and I think making it a third title fight was the way to do that. And so they introduced an interim title with Frankie and Aldo. And I think that's the mistake, because right now we could be talking about, if Aldo wasn't ready, we could say, it's going to be Holloway Pettis for the interim title and the winner fights Aldo, you know what I mean? And we're still, figuring out what's going on with Conor, you know what I mean? Listen, I never truly believed Conor was going to go back to featherweight anyways.
Yeah, I didn't
But
either.
at the same time, the guy won the title, the guy became the 2 division champion 2 weeks ago. You're already stripping him? Like, I just thought it was just a bad set of circumstances under which you strip him. I didn't understand it. I don't agree with it. Eventually, yes, you're probably going to have to take one of the titles away when it is dictated by the circumstance, meaning, it's March and he hasn't still defended. It's been a year and 3 months. He's not going to defend the title. It's clear he's not going to defend the title. Then you put a match together between Aldo and, let's say, Max Holloway, or Aldo and Pettis, and then you determine the new champion that way. There's the way this whole thing played out. It's just suspect. It just doesn't sit right with me the way it was handled this time, because of an injury. You're going to force a title to be defended.
It seemed like a bit of a power move on the UFC's part. It seemed like they wanted to make a statement, but also, with Conor being out, I think what happens is they lose all their clout. Like, to make all the work that they did to make him and promote him as a 2 divisional champion is down the toilet now. I mean, you don't see him. You're not going to see him again with 2 belts. He can't really call himself that.
He's still carrying around 2 belts. So,
right. I mean, I would too. I mean,
well, it's weird. Everyone talks about how Conor's had, everything handed to him. The UFC has kind of handed things to him, but, Conor has created an animal with his promotion and everything to where he's kind of earned the right to do that. You know what I mean? Where he's kind of earned the right to be the guy. And does he get special treatment, or is he getting some kind of special treatment? Perhaps, but you know what? He's earned it. I mean, listen, the guy is a machine. The guy goes out there and brings in the biggest pay-per-views in history. He's the biggest star in the sport. And what we know about him versus Ronda, no offense to Ronda, is that Conor's not going anywhere. Conor's 27, 28 years old. He's said numerous times, fighting is what he wants to do. Yeah, Hollywood's come calling, and, maybe I'll do some stuff like that in the future, but fighting is what he wants to do. That's not the case with Ronda. Ronda, we know, is her expiration date is coming up soon. It may be December 30th. If she loses to Amanda Nunes, I think that's it. I think Ronda's gone. But Conor doesn't have that. So you better invest in a guy like Conor McGregor. You better keep him happy because you want him around. You want him to stick around for 3, 4, 5 more years or however long he's going to fight. You know what I mean? I mean, Mayweather fought until he was almost 40. I don't imagine
taking the right fights, taking the fights that he wanted to take and everything.
But you can't risk losing Conor over something petty like this. You know what I mean? No, I'm not saying Conor's going to leave because they stripped him of the featherweight title. I'm just saying, like, the reason why it happened now, to me, doesn't necessitate pissing off your biggest star.
Do you think that his applying for a boxing license was his response to that?
No, I think the boxing license, listen, everyone wants to, crap on the idea of him fighting Mayweather and saying, it's never going to happen and it's, it's terrible and, blah, blah, blah. I think this was a legit thing that was being talked about. I think this is a legit thing that could have potentially happened. And I think him getting the boxing license is just him taking further proof that he's willing to engage in a negotiation to potentially make that fight happen. Listen, did it get as close as saying the fight was actually going to be made? They were talking about contracts and stuff. No. But was there serious discussion to somehow put this fight together? I believe 100% there was. There's just too much money on the table for it not to happen. In terms of too much money on
to not even talk about.
To not even talk. That's my point.
To just dismiss it.
Just to dismiss it and say, "Oh, it's a joke and it's not going to happen."
Well,
no.
if he's ready and Floyd's willing to consider, I mean, yeah, absolutely. That
Mayweather McGregor would do more right now than any fight in the sport of
Floyd
boxing
knows that,
or in the sport of MMA, period. You know what I mean? It would be the biggest fight. I don't know if it would approach Mayweather-Pacquiao numbers, but it might.
Oh, I think it would.
It might.
Because it would take all of our fan base and combine that with, the people that watch boxing on a regular basis, which we've all come to find out it's a very different crowd. It's a diverse crowd. Some parts of it intersect, but a lot don't.
Yeah. So you can't, when we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, you know what I mean? That'd be like, there's always a joke, I joke around with some of my other friends. I'm sure we've probably even talked about this. Like, what would it take for you to fight, in the octagon or whatever? Cause I'm not a fighter, but like, would you fight Fedor for, $500,000? Yep. I get knocked out for $500,000. Cause guess what? It's $500,000. That's the kind of thing you talk about. $100 million. Yes. Conor would be a massive underdog. Does Conor really have a great chance of beating Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match? Probably not. But would you watch? 100% you would watch. And you cannot discount when one guy's going to make $200 million, another guy's going to make $100 million, and everyone's going to make a lot of money off this. You're going to tell me that there's not a chance it's going to happen? Come on now.
I'd love to get that CM Punk fight. Give me 2 months. Come on.
I'd watch that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be a great fight.
I'd watch it.
I don't have one pro fight. So, I mean, hey, listen. He's got the advantage. You got to bet on him, right?
I bet on my boy Lopey Lope.
Have you seen my home dojo? All right, we're going to go to an awesome interview right now. This is Damon Martin sitting down with the one and only Max Holloway, who fights Anthony Pettis this Saturday live and only on pay-per-view.
So how's everything, man? Obviously, fight is just around the corner. That's why I wanted to get in touch with you. I was like, man, this fight's coming up quick.
Yeah, it's coming up real fast, bro. Real fast. I feel, it's the same thing, same old, like I told you, man. Just another day, another fight. We're going for 1-0 come December 10, and I look forward to the challenge. Anthony Pettis, he likes to, he believes in his skill set. He's not scared of no one. He says it multiple times, so he's not scared of no one on the ground, no one in stand up. So December 10, I'm gonna test those words.
I love it. Let me backtrack, Max, because last time we talked, obviously, you were trying to get that fight with Jose Aldo. I had heard rumors that there was early talk of trying to get Aldo to take the fight with you in December, and I guess it just didn't come together. Did you hear any of that? Did you hear any of that buzz that was a possibility?
I heard the same rumors, and I heard they're trying to get us on UFC 205. He actually tried to get me on UFC 205 with 2 fights. But that the case of pussyitis was real, so no one 2 of the fights fell through, so it is what it is, you know. That's the way. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. So I ain't gonna hold nothing against them. It is what it is. I gotta fight Anthony Pettis, a former champion, a guy who came and did his thing in our division against a good fighter in Charles Oliveira. So this guy got all my attention. You know, it's like I always tell you, man. People nowadays, man, they start fucking being like, I want to fight this guy and this guy and this guy, but already having a fight, trying to think they can fucking tell the future, and then they start slipping and falling, and I ain't about that life, you know. I'm trying to stay on this steady climb, you know, and you know, work my way to where I want to be, and that's a world champion. But first things first is Anthony Pettis is on deck.
Yeah. Do you find that you know, do you have a little bit more respect for Anthony that he did step up and take this fight? You know, because I know you said, and you told me flat out, you lost some respect for Jose Aldo. You know, not accepting the fight, not stepping up to fight you. I mean, did you gain some respect for Pettis in the same way maybe you kind of lost some respect for Aldo?
Yeah, you know, it's you know, anybody that's willing to step in the cage, I'm gonna respect them. You know, especially to take a fight with me, you know, and it is what it is, and it's a big risk fight, you know, for both of us, you know. It's you know, Anthony finally finding his groove, and you know, I'm in my groove, so yeah, I always respect Pettis, you know, as one of the guys that when you was coming up in the sport, he was a flashy guy, a cool guy to watch, so yeah, I respect that guy a lot, but at the end of the day, you know, when the cage doors closed, you know, and all the respect is gone, you know, it's time to show who Max Holloway is, you know. Early in my career, everybody was comparing me to this guy, and I always told everyone, you know, don't, you know, that's cool, you know, I respect being compared to this guy, but, you know, my name is Max Holloway, you know, so I ain't trying to be no one's second or no one's copycat, so I'm here to be Max Holloway, so I get the chance to do that come December 10th.
I love it. I'm curious, Max, what did you think of Anthony Pettis' debut at featherweight when he fought Charles Oliveira?
You know, I didn't get to see it when it actually happened, and then I got to watch it now that we're fighting and stuff. Watch some tape on him, and you know, it's just. It is what it is, you know. It was his first fight. He talked about how his cut was weary and stuff. So, you know, it's somebody how I think that you know, is a new weight class that he's kind of. I don't know if he was big at 55. Sometimes they said he was, and other times they say he's not really that big. But you know, it just. What can I say? It just looked just like another fighter. You know, I don't fear no man in this weight class, and he's just another guy on the way to the top. So. You know, he did good. He did great. He finished a guy in Charles Oliveira, a tough guy, and you know, you gotta give him respect. Respect his due. You know, I ain't no hater, so he did great. And you know, let's see how we match up come on December 10th.
Yeah. To that point, though, would you say you were impressed? Because you say he just kind of looked like another guy. Were you impressed, or were you just like, yeah, you know, he won? I mean, good for him.
Yeah, you know. He came out good. He came out strong. You know, faded a little bit and then came back strong. So, yeah, you know, he got back in the win column. So you gotta give the guy respect. You know, so I would say I was impressed. But like I said again, man, he's just another fighter. You know, it wasn't nothing special about it. You know, he went out there. He did the damn thing. He showed his game and then he showed some holes. So come December 10th, I'm looking to exploit those holes.
Yeah. A lot of people for a long time, you know, said Anthony Pettis is the best striker in MMA, or at least one of the best strikers, you know, top 2 or 3. You know, he had the Showtime kick, he had the big knockout over Cowboy. You know, he's a very flashy striker, you know, those kind of things. Now he dealt with some adversity. You know, he had that loss to Dos Anjos, he had the loss to Alvarez, he had the loss to Edson Barbosa. But I'm kind of curious, if he does come out there, you say, he wants to come out there and test his stand-up against your stand-up. I mean, how confident are you in your striking versus Anthony Pettis' striking? I get a feeling you're probably going to have a little smile creeping across your face, me just asking that question.
Oh, man, you know me too well, my man. You know me too well. I'm smiling big right now. It's time and time again, man. It's time and time again. All these guys, and we know it, they go out, they do the interviews, and they start saying, yeah, I'm going to test Max in his striking and this and that, and yeah, I'm a striker with him. It happens all the time. And every single guy that told me that they're going to try and see and test me in my striking, they start shooting, These strikers start turning to wrestlers, so it is what it is, it's the game of MMA, but, my striking is, I believe I'm the best in the world. People call it cockiness or whatever, but I call it confidence. This sport, you need to believe in your damn self because no one's going to do it for you. So I believe in my damn self. I know where my head is. I know where I want to be. I know what I need to do. And, my striking with his striking is, I'm not worried at all. It's just, I've been telling these guys all the time, Max Holloway don't change, just the opponent. So this ain't nothing new. We've been through the rodeo. You guys, UFC, been seeing me. Well, what is it? What fight is it? I think it's gonna be my 16th fight. It's gonna be my 16th fight in the UFC. So you guys been seeing. You guys got to see a lot of me. I grew up in front of these guys' eyes. And I can't wait to show more growing come December 10th. I'm excited. Being everybody talking about how this fight is going to steal the show, and I truly believe it, and my striking, I'll compare it to anyone. Anyone want to strike, anyone say they want to strike, then, let's do it. I'll go out there and prove every single time why Max Holloway striking is one of the best in the world.
Yeah. In a weird way, Max, is this, because one of the things that Pettis brings with him to this division is name value. I mean, he is a former champion, lightweight champion. No one can take that away from him. He does have some big, flashy wins on his record. And, he jumped right into the top 10 with the win over Oliveira. There are guys ranked ahead of him. You beat guys ranked ahead of him. You beat, Ricardo Lamas, beat the brakes off him, a few months ago, which is one of your best performances to date. But is there something to be said about fighting a guy like Pettis because of the name value? I mean, there is going to be a certain level of attention paid, to a fight like this because, who you are is the number one guy in the division, in my opinion. And then obviously him being kind of the flashy guy, former champion. I mean, there's got to be some name value to that. I feel like you do get, more out of a fight like this because you do get a little bit more attention fighting a guy like Anthony Pettis.
Yeah, for sure. This guy, you got to give respect where respect is due anywhere. Everybody hating on fucking people nowadays. And I ain't no fucking hater. You did you. This guy's on fucking Wheatie box. Who the hell can say that shit? This guy got a big name. He has a big name. And his fighting back it up too. Like you said, he was a former champion. And he won the belt on a short notice too. So that's more power to him. So it is what it is, man. I think so. You gotta give him his respect. And yeah, his name is huge. His name brings a lot of power. So it was great when we heard he was coming down. Bring more attention than already is at the featherweight. And then now I get the opportunity to showcase myself. So against a guy with a name like him. So it's cool, man. He's a good fighter. And yeah, like you said, he has a big name. He does all this commercial and stuff, whatever. So just can't wait, man. I'm excited. It's hopefully go out there, do my thing, and more of the world's gonna know who Max Holloway is after December 10th.
Yeah, you've been on such an incredible win streak, Max, and the crazy thing is you've continued to get stronger and better. As I said, I thought your Ricardo Lamas performance was one of the best of your entire career, just dominating a very, very tough guy the way you did. But I am kind of curious, this is such an incredible win streak. I believe it's either the longest or one of the longest in UFC history at this point. I am kind of curious, what kind of a statement can you make in a fight like this? I mean, listen, we don't know the future. We don't know what's going on, what's going on with Conor. We don't know for sure what's going on with Jose Aldo. And you always say you never look past what's right in front of you. But there's always a statement to be made when you get a big marquee fight like this, co-main event on pay-per-view. So I am kind of curious, what kind of a statement do you want to make with Anthony Pettis to, whether you're sending notice to Conor, Aldo, the featherweights, the UFC, whoever, what kind of a statement are you making in this fight?
The statement I want to make is to UFC, to the world, that no one's as close. No one is close to me. Everybody talk about, they bring up my losses. Oh, this guy lost three times in the UFC already. They bring out the Conor McGregor was injured thing. They bring out the I lost to Dustin Poirier and the Bermudez loss and blah blah blah. I'm like, these guys need to understand. I grew up in front of these guys' eyes. I wasn't like no Conor McGregor or anybody else who came into the UFC. They already had losses, These people got to fall without people knowing that they failed, and whatever. You guys are seeing my failure, and you guys are seeing my greatness. I'm growing with you guys. I came into the UFC at 4-0. So all it really is just I'm. You guys got to watch me and grow up. People really got to watch me and grow up in the UFC. Like I said, I came in 4-0 or whatever, and the statement is what it always is. Be the baddest man walking the face of the earth and prove to people. These guys. There's always gonna be the next guy. Like, oh no, it's this guy you gotta beat. It's this guy. It's this guy. So I tell them every time, whoever it is, bring it. I don't care. The statement I gotta do with this fight is I just gotta show these guys they're not on my level. If it's in a finish or if it's what I did in my last performance with stuff. Just outclass them. If I gotta outclass you, I'm gonna outclass you for 15 minutes. I'm gonna make people think like, holy shit, why is this guy in here with Max? Or if I finish you, then I'll finish you. But at the end of the day, that's the statement I try to do. I try to prove like these guys is not supposed to be in here with me. I'm the best guy in the world. Feed me all the guys. These guys keep after every fight. There's always another guy. There's always going to be another guy. That's this guy can do this. This guy can do this. We see it so much times in fighting in any sport, boxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu, or whatever martial arts you talk about. There's always, oh no, but if this guy fought this guy, then this would happen. Blah blah blah. And I'm down for the challenge. So. That's all I want to do, man. This next fight, I want to prove to everybody I'm the best in the world, and I want to prove that no one's close to me, So that's the plan, that's the idea, and that's what we got to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to that point, I know, you've said numerous times, you want the chance to fight for the title. You want to prove that you are the best featherweight in the world, but in a weird way, with this win streak you put together, which, as I said, is pretty incredible. And if you beat Anthony Pettis, I mean, listen, we can't see the future. We don't know, is Conor coming back? Is Aldo ever going to fight again? We don't know. So in a weird way, do you kind of feel like if you just keep doing what you're doing, you're already kind of the uncrowned champion in a way? I mean, no one's put together a win streak like you in this division.
Yeah, it's like, that's the way I carry myself. That's the way I carry myself, and that's what I think. I'm the champion every single fight of the title defense. That's the way I approach my fighting, and that's the way I approach every damn fight. So it is what it is. It's just what can I say? I gotta go out there, keep doing me, and when the UFC decides to give me my freaking gold title that's supposed to be around my waist, then it's gonna be a great day. But until then, there's nothing I can do. I'm no freaking crybaby. I'm gonna keep fighting and keep proving that I'm the best guy in the world. And if you want to do it, come fight me. I'll fight anybody. And I've been calling out everyone. So I never dodged a fight. I never freaking said no to no one. So it's just this mentality. You gotta have this mentality. You want to be a champion, you gotta be willing to fight anytime, any place, anywhere, not this. Oh, I'm gonna wait for my title shot. This and this. Like I said before, man, this is God's plan. This ain't mine. So I'm totally happy. God don't make mistakes. I'm here for a reason. So I truly believe in that. I believe in myself, and the only way you can go is up, and when you believe in yourself, it's a great thing.
Yeah. Well, as you said, you've coined the phrase, Max. You are not one guy coming down with pussyitis. That's what we know for sure, right? Well, Max, I appreciate you taking the time as always, buddy. Obviously, this is a great fight, man. I love this fight. This is a great card. You guys, when this fight was made, I was like, this is now the fight I'm most excited about on this card. This is such a phenomenal fight. I think this is a fight a lot of people wanted to see for a lot of years, and I think you and Anthony are going to put on a show.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a fun fight, man. I can't wait, man. Like you said, was the fight funny because before I was ever in the UFC, when I was 4-0, in the magazine they asked who I wanted to fight. This was in I think so. When was it? 2011 or 2010? I'm not sure. When. I think it's 2011. They asked me, this local MMA king, MMA White. They asked me in the magazine. They said, "Oh, in your future fights, who would you want to fight?" And I said Anthony Pettis and Jose Aldo. So things coming full circle and coming around to here is pretty crazy, So I'm on a right path and then freaking staying focused and doing my damn job. What is that saying? When you're training to your idols become your rivals. So it's pretty cool.
I love it. That's great. That's hilarious. That's awesome. So here you are 5 years later and you finally get that fight you wanted. Hey, talk about visualization. That's the way to call your shot. You might be doing them back to back too. You might be going Pettis and then Aldo. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. That'd be super crazy. So first things first, Pettis is on the chopping block, and we gotta take care of this guy.
I love it. Well, Max, it's always a pleasure, buddy. I appreciate the time. Obviously, safe training the rest of the way, man, and safe travels up to Toronto. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, brother. See you in a couple of weeks. You have a good one.
All right.
Safe travels too, brother.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, so that's part one of the interview with Max Holloway, where I talked to him about Anthony Pettis and the fight itself, of what's coming up and what it means. A little bit out of context, of course, because we did talk about what comes next with the title. We already know what comes next with the title now. So let's get into part two of my interview with Max Holloway, where he actually addressed the featherweight title now that we knew at that point that he was going to be fighting for an interim belt. A lot had changed in like literally 3 days since we had talked. So I figured, why not just get him back on the line, do a second interview, talk about the title, talk about Aldo, talk about Conor, and let's get all that out in the air. So let's get to the second part of this interview with Max Holloway. So, man, what a crazy couple of days here, kind of a big turn of events for you. Kind of walk me through how everything, kind of happened for you. I mean, literally, we talked last week, and then next thing you know, everything's going kind of haywire.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I told you last week, man, this is God's plan, the same minds, man. When someone's time, it's someone's time, I guess, and it's my time now, and I feel it, and like I said, though, I'm going for 1-0. Nothing changed. Just have the chance to walk away with a gold pretty thing around my waist. But same old, man. He's the same guy. I'm the same guy. We got two more extra rounds, but this is where champions are made. They made to the grind, to the rough. And you gotta be ready all the time. You gotta be ready to step up and. Here we are, stepping up. My first main event on a pay-per-view. My first title fight, even though it's an interim title fight, and everything is good, man. I'm at a great place. I feel great. Only crazy thing that's been happening that changed is this media now. Media is pretty crazy, but I love it, man. I'm loving every single second of it, man. I'm enjoying the ride.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Max, because, you've been wanting this title for a long time. So I am kind of curious your feelings on the interim title, because this all came about, kind of last minute. Obviously, we know what happened with Daniel Cormier getting injured. Jose Aldo's out there. I know that's the fight you originally wanted. No offense to Anthony Pettis. I know you wanted to fight Jose Aldo. So how are you feeling about the interim title tag? I mean, does it mean something? Is it exciting? Or is there just part of you that says, hey, this is just, the goal to get to the other guy? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Exactly what you said, man. The way I feel about this belt is this is my way to Jose Aldo. I am by any means not looking past Anthony Pettis. I'm not looking past him. I got Anthony Pettis first and whatever, but this is the step in the right direction. After this, there's only the path is super clear. It's going to be really, really clear. After this one was still unclear. With Connor and with Aldo and stuff. But now, it's super clear. I get past Pettis, and there's only one guy in the chopping block, and he'd be next. But first things first, I got Anthony Pettis, and I got my hands full with this one, so I'm focused on him, and I can't wait, man. You can't wait. I've been just can't be training hard. I feel great mentally, physically. Everything is clicking, and I can't wait, man. It's just it's gonna be an amazing thing, man. People, if people want to see a fight, like I said, man, tune in December 10th. Buy the pay-per-view and watch the Hawaiian do his thing.
I love it. I am curious, Max. We talked in the past about, where the division stands with the title and kind of the unknown factor with Conor, because we weren't sure if he was ever even going to come back to 145. I was of the opinion he was never probably coming back to featherweight anyways, just because it was such a tough weight cut for him. But I am kind of curious, how did you feel when you heard that he had been stripped of the title, or I don't know if he gave it up or they stripped it, whatever the case may be, he ain't the featherweight champion no more.
I just thought, oh wow, this makes the murky water very clear now. That's all I thought. It's and with him saying, with not him, but with UFC saying that he wasn't going to be back for a while. Now that he let go of the title in our weight division, it's very clear now. So I was just like, wow, I was tripping out. I was like, oh wow, they actually did the damn thing. But good for them, So. It is what it is, It is what it is, and we see what happens. He's taking some time off anyway, so we see what happens, man. All I can do is focus on me, and we got a big one coming up, so I can't wait, man. The opportunity is there, and this is the way that champions are made, man. You got to take the opportunity. You got to step up to the plate and go for the home run.
Yeah. And that's the thing about this is if Conor's not coming back, Conor's going to be out for several months. I mean, obviously you got to move the division forward, and I totally agree with that. You can't sit around and make everybody wait, especially if somebody's going to be out. I mean, at the time when he's supposed to return, that would be about a year and a half after he won the title. And listen, guys want to go out there and fight. You want to fight for the belt. I'm sure as much as you want to fight Conor, you don't want to wait a year and a half to do it.
Yeah, for sure. You don't want to wait a year and a half for anybody. So. It is what it is, man. It happened. It did what it did. It UFC did what they did, and it is what it is. So I just can't wait, man. I'm focused on Anthony Pettis, December 10th, pay-per-view. Tune in, and it's gonna be a great night, man. It's a little bit more on the line, but this is just another fight, man. I've been trained my whole life for this, and if you don't know who Max Holloway is, a bunch of people are going to find out come December 10th.
Absolutely. I know when we talked last week about the Pettis matchup, you already had this matchup broken down. You already had him broken down. You knew exactly, what to expect in that fight. But I am kind of curious, what does adding the extra 2 rounds do? I mean, you were ready to go out there, and I assume, probably wanted to finish it within 3 rounds. Does adding the extra 2 rounds really change much for you?
Not really. It's the extra 2 rounds. It's there. We train. I train for 5-5s, all the time. We get ready for everything because you don't know what's gonna happen nowadays. So the extra 2 rounds is just there. It's just another fight, man. We get to go out there, and if I get to go to championship rounds, I get to go, and if we don't go, then we don't go. I really don't care. I know what I've been doing in training camp. I know what I'm capable of doing. I have self-belief, self-confidence in myself because of the way I trained for this fight, and I'm ready, man. I'm ready for whatever, Like I said, man, like I told you last time, UFC, life, whatever, they like throwing curveballs at you, so you always gotta be ready. You gotta be ready for that off-speed pitch, and we're ready. We're fully ready. Me and my camp, we're confident, and we can't wait.
Yeah. You were a guy who, you basically have always said it's one fight at a time, and that's the only way you're ever going to look at anything. And, you never complained a lot. I mean, you were sitting here on a 9-fight win streak, 10 fights in a row, all these different things you were doing, but you never made a lot of noise saying, I'm being passed over, or I deserve this, I deserve that. But does it feel a little, do you feel a little, appreciation that you are getting this opportunity even though the way it happened, that, you are getting your first shot at a title finally? I mean, finally, it just kind of feels justified that you're getting this shot.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. It's amazing feeling. It's the way it came out, the way it turned. It's just crazy. It's timing, man. Timing is everything. Like I said, you just gotta be at the right place at the right time, and we are right now. And like I said before, too much people complain because they feel like they're owed something or this and that, and give me this, give me that. They cry and complain. You're like, look, you have no control over that shit. Stop crying. Suck it up. Put your big boy pants on and move on. Control what you can control. And I know what I can control. I can control my emotions. I can control the way I think. I can control the way I look at things. And that's what I have total control of. Too much people nowadays like, you owe me this, you owe me that. Shut the hell up. People don't owe you shit in this world. If you want it, go and get it, and it's going to get it. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and it's going to happen. And look, it happened. It's a lot of people that's all been writing me. Man, your patience is crazy. Blah blah blah. Yeah, because I had to be patient. I can't force UFC to give me a title shot and tell them this and that or blah blah blah. We're not at that point yet. So it is what it is. I know what I can control is my emotions and that's what I did. I want to show these guys that you don't have to cry and bitch and moan. If you want something, work your ass off, your ass off for it, and show the world why you deserve it. On December 10th, I'm going to show the world why I deserve it, why Max Holloway deserve it, why I want it. All the hard work, all the time I put in on the mats, and all the holidays I gotta miss, all the birthdays I gotta miss, and all the family and stuff, my friends, everything that I have to miss, it's going to all be worth it when it comes December 10th.
Yeah, and to that point, you've always said, it's always the focus is the fight in front of you. It's always about Anthony Pettis, but it's impossible to ignore, the fact that you've wanted to fight Jose Aldo for a long time. Do you also feel like this is kind of that guarantee? I mean, you win the title, you're gonna get Aldo. I mean, there's no way around unless the guy's retiring, which again I guess is a possibility. But unless he's retiring, you're gonna get Aldo because he's got the other belt, and then we have to unify this to make the real champion.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't know, man. We gotta go, like you said, I'm looking at Anthony Pettis, but if everything goes good, I get my hand raised at the end of the fight. We see if Aldo's gonna stick around or not. It's it's up in the air. This guy had a chance to fight me at 205. I heard. There's rumors of us supposed to be fighting on this card, so we'll see what happens. Who knows what that guy's mind is right now? It's like I said last time, man, it's going all haywire, and I got that vaccine for him whenever he's ready, that fucking pussyitis that he has. We're going to figure out if he wants the vaccine or not come December 10th.
I know that you've been waiting for this for a long time, Max. I'm kind of curious. Visualization is a big part of fighters. I know that. You go out there and visualize yourself in the octagon. You visualize yourself, knocking out Anthony Pettis or beating Anthony Pettis. Have you visualized yourself with that belt finally around your waist? Because it's been a long time coming. Let's be honest. I mean, not many people I don't know how many people in the history of the UFC have put together the kind of win streak you have. But I mean, when you think about it, have you thought about that moment just a little bit, having that title wrapped around your waist?
Oh yeah. Like you said, it's just visualization. I visualize myself going in there, executing what we've been working for the last 6 weeks, getting my hand raised, and then getting Dana or whoever at the time putting that belt around my waist. It's gonna be a great night, man. It's gonna be a great feeling, and I can't wait to make it become reality. And December 10th is gonna be fireworks. Don't miss it, man. You guys have no idea who I am, what I'm capable of. December 10th, tune in, and you guys are going to see all your guys' questions is going to be answered, Yeah. Me versus Anthony Pettis, and it's going to be a great night.
What's funny about it, Max, is because, you know, I hit you up and I said, man, I want to talk about this title fight. I want to talk about the changes to the fight card. But ultimately, no matter how much I ask about titles, I ask about Conor, I ask about Jose Aldo, nothing really changed for you, did it? I mean, you're still fighting the same guy. I mean, yeah, you added 2 extra rounds, but ultimately it's still the same fight for you. Like, we're the ones making the most attention out of this, aren't we?
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. You know, everybody's like saying this and that. Look, I'm still fighting the same guy that I was booked. You know, however long time it was, 7 weeks ago we got this fight book or whatever it was. I'm fighting the same guy. You know, we was the co-main. Now we're the main. We got the whole card against us. The only thing that changed, I'm telling you guys, is social, not social media, but is this, you know, the media. You know, the media is crazy. You know, as soon as I got the fight, I got hit. My manager was getting hit up. I was getting hit up for doing a bunch of interviews and stuff. And that's about it. And you know, I was ready for that. You know, they talk about whenever we go to a summit, it's like, oh, and once you become a champion, look at they showed us Robbie's schedule, one of his fights, and it was crazy. And, you know, I was ready for it. You know, it is what it is. It was a long time coming, and I'm ready for this, man. I'm ready. And, you know, it's just hard to tell. It's just hard to tell someone with the way that my self-confidence, my self-belief, and my hard work, and knowing what I did to get here, and all the sacrifice and stuff. It's hard to tell me that it's not my time, you know. And if it is, you then prove it, you know. Because December 10th, I'm gonna prove where I belong here, where I belong at the top of the division, and why I think and I'm gonna show what you guys all been missing.
Yeah, I will say, Max, you know, you've always been the same guy in the sport from your first fight in the UFC till now, and I appreciate the fact that you always return my messages. I know it's going to be busy as life as a champion. Everything goes well on December 10th, you win that belt, but you've always been the same guy, and I think that, you know, everyone can say they appreciate that you haven't changed, and I always appreciate the fact that you return my messages, so I will say thank you for that.
Nah, thank you, man. You're always one of the guys always getting my ass out there, so man, you never forget the guys who always help you the way to the top, so I appreciate you, brother.
Of course. Well, Max, man, again, like I said, I'm excited for this fight. You know, congratulations is the wrong word, because congratulations is after you win the fight, after you win the title, but I'm glad you're getting this opportunity. I think it's well-deserved, and, man, I cannot wait for it. If you're excited about December 10th, I know I'm excited about December 10th.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I can't wait, man. Looking forward to the article.
All right, Max, I appreciate it. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Talk to you soon, buddy.
Bye-bye. The Fight Society podcast is sponsored by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage approval process into the 21st century. Fast, powerful, and completely online, it has taken out all the complicated, time-consuming parts of applying for a mortgage out of the equation. Hate searching through stacks of old files of paperwork? With Rocket Mortgage, you can easily share your bank statements and pay stubs at the touch of a button, helping you get approved in minutes for a custom mortgage solution that's been tailored to your unique financial situation. Even better, with Rocket Mortgage, you can do all of this on your phone or tablet. It's quick, online process that you can manage from the convenience of your couch. If you're looking to refinance your mortgage or buy a home, check out Rocket Mortgage today at quickenloans.com/MMA. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Awesome interview, man. That's insightful into this weekend. It gets me pumped to hear the fighters talk about their own fights. And
I love Max. He's such a good dude, man.
He is a good dude.
It's so crazy. I remember meeting him or talking to him. His manager, who is a great guy as well, Brian Butler, Sucker Punch Entertainment. He had hit me up before Max was making his debut. He got pulled in on short notice to fight Dustin Poirier.
Yeah,
I think he was like 20 at the time, like really young. And he's like, you got to watch this guy. And I was like, all right. And so, cause he had fought, God, I can't remember the guy's name. He fought this one guy who was a veteran, right before he got into the UFC. And it was like, you know, he was like 3-0 and he fought this like super veteran guy and like beat him. And it was like such a surprise. And, he came in the UFC and he got beat by Poirier pretty easily in his first fight. It was, you know, I mean, he took the fight on short notice and, you know, obviously it was his first fight, but to see this guy develop since into what he's become now, 9-fight win streak. I mean, the way he beat Ricardo Lamas at UFC 199, I was like, whoa, to me,
for sure.
That was the biggest wake up call, because even when he beat like Jeremy Stevens and when he beat these other guys, like I was like, man, Max is getting really good. Like Max is legit.
Yeah, you're seeing him like unfold in front of your eyes.
Watching him dismantle Ricardo Lamas for 3 rounds, I was like, I was a believer in Max Holloway a long time ago into this 9-fight win streak. Like, I've been a Max Holloway believer for a while. But watching him dismantle Ricardo Lamas, I was like, you don't do that.
Well,
like Aldo didn't even really dismantle Ricardo.
Well, Aldo is more of I think a martial artist technician. You know what I mean?
And Mendez knocked him out in the first round, so it was a little different in how Mendez beat him. You know what I mean? But I was like, you don't do that to Ricardo Lamas,
right?
And he did. Like, he dismantled him over. Like, it wasn't even close. And I was just like, wow. Like, that was the most eye-opening, eye-popping performance. That at that moment, I always knew Max was a contender, and I said, man, Max will give Aldo all he can handle. Max will give anybody all they can handle. That moment right there was where I was like, Max can be champion. Like, Max will be champion. Like, that dude is a champion.
Well, it could happen coming up on Saturday. We will find out, won't we? Another fight. Can we just talk about Friday for a second? I mean, I know that you had my boy, man. Oh God,
Derek Lewis,
GOAT. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now.
Did you see his Twitter last week with the kids one? Did you see that?
He does so many amazing tweets. I mean, not only is the guy my greatest fighter ever, but like.
So you can blame me for that tweet.
Black Beast.
He did this tweet where he said he sent out this picture of this girl with let's just say stuff on her face.
Yeah.
And he said the caption said I can't talk right now. I got these kids all on my face. And you can blame me for that because during my interview with Derek, I was like, I just got to tell you, Derek, I was like, I love your Twitter. Your Twitter's like the best Twitter ever. And he's like, yeah, sometimes, man, my manager's yelling at me. I shouldn't tweet some of this crazy stuff out there. But you know what? I got this one I was thinking about tweeting out right now. And I think I'm going to put it out there right now. I'm going to put it out there right now. And I was like, all right, man. I was like, thanks for the interview. Have a great day. And 5 minutes later, I saw the Twitter and I was like, oh my God, now I know why you were thinking about not putting that out there.
Every time you see a tweet, you're just like, motherfucking Black Beast.
He's so awesome, dude.
The guy's awesome. Derek Lewis.
Such a great dude, such a great interview. And I asked him how to pronounce his opponent's name, and he still can't. I know it's Shamil Abdurahimanov. I can't even pronounce it, but he was like Shamil Namanam. I was like, yep, that's it. That's the one.
You were close. Pardon me. Do it again.
Shamil Abdurahimanov or something like that.
That's really close. If that's not it, I mean, I couldn't do it.
I know it's Shamil. I know that. Shamil Shamazel, Hassan Pfeffer Incorporated. Laverne and Shirley action there.
So what is the line on that fight? Like, I mean.
Lewis's favorite, big time. Yeah, I think it's like 3-1 favorite, which, it's a heavyweight fight. So, I think it's hard for any heavyweight fight to truly be a favorite because it's heavyweights, you know what I mean? But yeah, he's a pretty heavy favorite.
That French dude, Francis
Ngannou.
Yes, yeah. Dude. He is amazing.
That's the fight I wanted to see was Francis Ngannou against Derek Lewis.
I think they're holding off for that fight because this is the second time that they're on the same card, I believe.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the first time I fell in love with the Black Beast was that card.
Yeah.
And Francis was unbelievable.
Dude, I've been at a couple of Derek Lewis fights, and I remember sitting cage side and like people talk about his power, Derek Lewis's power. Dude, I heard him hit the mat a couple of times when he missed punches. I've never heard like the echo of a punch.
No kidding.
Hit the octagon. Like literally I was sitting cage side and I hear it and I'm like, holy shit.
He's coming to kill somebody.
Like I was like, he's going to punch through the octagon. Like that's how much power that dude produces. Like I was just like, wow. Like I've never seen anything like that. Like heard anything like that. I was like, oh my God. Like that's the kind of power you hear. And you're just like, it like makes you cringe. Like when Robbie Lawler knocks someone out and you're kind of like, ugh. Like you're just like, man, I feel bad for that guy.
No, for sure. So wait, how do you say Francis's last name?
Ngannou.
Yeah, that dude is badass. The Predator. What a great name too.
Yeah.
And he's fighting Anthony Hamilton,
which isn't a bad fight. Everyone's digging on the fight, and I think Francis is going to win. But Anthony Hamilton, he trains with Jackson's. He's not at a bad. He's at a good camp. You know what I mean?
He's had some good fights recently.
He's had some ups and downs, but he's one of those guys that's tough. And Ngannou's still really young. You know what I mean? We're still trying to figure out where he's going to be at.
He's 8-1. I mean, Anthony's 15-5.
Yeah, it's a fun fight.
Yeah, so that card, there's a couple of, like you said, there's a couple of fun fights on that card. All right, so back to Saturday. Of course, we got to talk about Matt Brown and Cowboy Cerrone. Do you think all of this TV filming and running around with the union, with Bjorn Rebney and the travel that Cowboy's been doing leading up to this fight? Because, I mean, it's not like it's even being hidden whatsoever. Do you think the travel's going to catch up to him in the fight? I mean,
here's the thing. I remember having this conversation with Cowboy a couple years ago when he buckled down to get ready for the title fight with Dos Anjos. And he buckled down. He trained all the time, didn't leave home, just did, focused on the fight. Maybe it was the Nate Diaz fight, actually. I think it was the Nate Diaz fight. He was getting ready to fight for the title, and he knew if he beat Nate Diaz, he was getting the title shot. And I remember talking to him, and he buckled down. He stopped everything, didn't drink, wasn't out doing anything. Like, you know, got his diet on point. Like, you know, did all the things fighters are supposed to do.
Right.
And he lost. And ever since then, he's just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go back to being me, you know, like I got to be me. And so like traveling and drinking and going boating on the week of the freaking fight and eating fruit roll-ups, all these different things he was telling me that he does. That's just who he is as a fighter. So in my head, when you say these things, my head says, yeah, dude, you can't, like, you know, it's going to catch up to you eventually. You know what I mean? Where all this other stuff, but I don't know. Cowboy's such a unique creature that it almost feels like giving it up would make him become less of a fighter.
Like,
you know
complacency could be his worst
yeah,
nightmare.
like it's just like he's one of those guys that's like very much like on the move. Like I see his videos and stuff, and I'm just like, dude, like even if I didn't have a full-time job, I couldn't keep up with this guy. Like, you know what I mean?
No,
like,
he's definitely a dude that likes to. I mean, listen, I like to get out there. I like to do my thing too, but I just feel like you know, to each his own. I just think that trips to Mexico and all this stuff, like you said, like going fishing and crazy stuff. But I mean, he's going, you know, jet skiing and like scurfing and other, and, you know, all kinds of stuff before fights. You
my
know?
head says it's crazy. My head says you're going to lose. I mean, that's insane. You don't do that kind of stuff. But Cowboy's such a unique creature that it somehow works for him. Now, you know, because, you know, and obviously, you know, Matt, you know, our co-host on the podcast and everything else. So obviously we have a little bit more insight into Matt than we do Cowboy. But I think what hurts Cowboy more in this matchup isn't what he's doing outside the octagon. I think stylistically, Matt is a very difficult fight for Cowboy based on the guys that he struggled with in the past. Guys who put pressure on him, guys who are aggressive and kind of come after him. You know, that's the way that Diaz did, got in his face, didn't allow Cowboy to control the center of the octagon, didn't allow Cowboy to kind of control the pace of the fight. Dos Anjos did that, just got right in his face both fights. You know what I mean? Both fights that he lost to Dos Anjos. Matt is very similar to that. Matt is a very aggressive, kind of get in your face, go after you kind of fighter. So stylistically, this is a tough matchup for Cowboy. If Cowboy loses this fight, I don't think it's going to be because he went to Mexico and, you know, he was training, you know, whatever, you know, fishing and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I think that's what makes Cowboy Cowboy. I don't think Cowboy will ever be champion, because I think you do have to have a little different mentality to become the top guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like Cowboy's chances against Tyron Woodley. I don't. You know what I mean? Like, Tyron's on a different level. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like his chances against Wonder Boy even. You know what I mean? I think that's a tactical matchup that would be tough. I mean, I think Cowboy has a better chance of beating Wonder Boy than he has a chance of beating Woodley. Because Woodley's wrestling, Woodley's power. I mean, those are just.
I just wonder what the size difference is going to play into. You know, Matt competed on the Ultimate Fighter at 85.
Yeah.
And, you know, has fought the majority of his career at 70. Cowboy fought the majority of his career at 55.
What Cowboy has going for him is he's tall. You know, he's not a short lightweight. You know what I mean? Like, he's not, like, a lot of lightweight fighters are, you know, pretty short. Cowboy's not. Cowboy's a big dude. You know, you met Cowboy. Cowboy's
Absolutely.
not a small guy. So Cowboy has that advantage when it comes to welterweight, is that he's not getting, because I think that's what hurts a lot of guys. Like, when they're talking about Kelvin Gastelum going to 185.
Yeah, exactly.
Or some of these other guys,
Johnny
like when
Hendricks
Johnny
going
Hendricks,
to 185
Johnny Hendricks would be
fucking
dwarfed.
nightmare. Yeah.
He might be weight wise, but
Right.
But he's gonna be like, I mean, I've stood next to Johnny Hendricks and I've stood next to Luke Rockhold. That's gonna be a mismatch. Like, they're not even, you would see them next to each other and be like, they're not even in the same category, which they're not. You know what I mean? What I'm saying? Like, if they were both 185ers, no.
Every time I fuck up at home, I always want to have Johnny Hendricks there to like explain it to my wife on why I fucked up, because he is the best at explaining why he fucked up.
He
always,
does.
You know. Let
does.
me tell you something, man. Let me just. I miss that.
Yeah, but it's yeah. So that's where I think Cowboy has an advantage going to welterweight, is he's not the shorter guy.
He's not the shorter guy, but I'm just wondering, you know, because fight night there is going to be a size difference for sure. You know, Matt was small at 85, but you know he was. You know, here's a great example: was Tim Means.
Yeah,
Matt was oversized by Tim Means. He was a smaller guy in the octagon, so that was interesting too, because that was another guy that went to 55 at one point. You know,
yeah, it's an interesting matchup. Like I said, it's a very interesting matchup. Obviously, it's a big moment for Matt. I know coming off that Ellenberger loss, you know, he knows he needs a win. You know, that's 2 in a row. He had Ellenberger and Maia back to back.
Absolutely,
he knows he needs a win. But this is stylistically a matchup that Matt can absolutely win. Like, that's the thing about it. Like, Matt definitely has advantages in this fight. And, you know, like I said, stylistically.
Cowboy at Jackson's? I mean, like, where's he training?
Training at his ranch, the BMF ranch.
I see Tim Kennedy's been up there training for the Kelvin Gastelum fight.
Yeah, he trains. I mean, he has a lot of guys that come up there. He trains with Brandon Gibson, who's a phenomenal striking coach. He has good people around him. I mean, the ranch has kind of become like a Jackson's offshoot almost, where a lot of people go up there and train. And, Brandon Gibson is one of the main striking coaches at Jackson. So,
Gotcha.
he has this team around him. I mean, I don't know, I think there's always going to be a benefit to being at the main academy where he's going to, I think for this fight, it would have been a huge benefit to train with a guy like Carlos Condit. You know what I mean? Even on short notice. Carlos,
no, absolutely.
And from my understanding, they weren't trained. Now, I may be wrong. I'm not inside the camp, but I think Carlos only trains at the main academy. I don't think he goes out to the ranch. I'm sure he has been out to the ranch, but I don't know. Because, from my understanding, the ranch isn't next door. It's a 45-minute drive away.
Yeah. Next time I see him, I'm going to be like, hey, Carlos, I heard you were at the ranch. Damon said so. Were you at the ranch?
Were you at the ranch?
Were you at the ranch?
Tell us now, Carlos. Were you at the ranch?
I was at the Muscle Farm Gym, and if you guys go to my vlog channel at loperandrandytv.com, you can see my vlog of the Muscle Farm Gym, which is sick.
Looks like a huge facility.
Dude, it's so it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. They have a treadmill that's underwater. If you have joint or leg injury or something like that to train. I mean, that's just one of the many amazing things. It's cutting edge, one of a kind kind of stuff. They're testing stuff there. It's everything you want it to be. When you go in, the gym is unbelievable. I expect to see a few fighters. Dude, I saw players from the Denver Nuggets were in there. I mean, it was pretty cool.
You know what I'm looking forward to from this fight? I did talk to Matt before the fight. Didn't play it on the podcast. I apologize for that. He'll be back on after the fight. Win, lose, or draw. He always does. So I'm sure we'll talk to him probably next week, even maybe the week after. But one thing that I loved that he told me, I'm sure he told you this too. He started training with Bang Ludwig.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's had nothing but great things to say about Dwayne. And I know that he's got another training partner that was up there with Dwayne as well, a guy by the name of Goldberg. I don't know if you heard of Goldberg. But, They asked him who's next, and they say Cowboy Cerrone. And I was like, wow, that's a big stand. No, Goldberg was up there one day. And Matt Brown said he was a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, listen, Dwayne did amazing things with TJ Dillashaw. I mean, there's nothing that you can say anything you want about TJ Dillashaw, who I think is a tremendous guy. He's done amazing things. I think Matt Brown's Muay Thai, his clinch is the best in the UFC. Barring any bias I may have, that is the honest opinion. I think that it's only going to be sharper. His stuff will be sharper. It's going to be a real cool thing to see him improve like that.
Here's the thing. I've talked to some people at Alpha Male who worked with Dwayne, and they had a breakup. They had the kind of bad breakup when Dwayne left Alpha Male.
Absolutely.
But everyone I talked to at Alpha Male, from coaches to fighters to managers, so people who manage fighters at Alpha Male, they all tell me the same thing, which is Dwayne is one of the best coaches in all of MMA. But Dwayne wants to do his own thing, and that's what ultimately led to the split with Alpha Male. He wanted to do his own thing. He wanted to be, he wanted to have the Bang Ludwig brand, which I get. I mean, listen, you're a trainer, you're a coach, just like Jackson's. You want Jackson's. It's not like it's called anything else. It's Jackson Winklejohn, because that's the two guys who started. I get it. I don't fault Bang Ludwig for that. But their falling out was business, really. It had nothing to do with coaching, is my point. It had nothing to do with him being a bad coach, or, he wasn't showing up on time, or, he wasn't really teaching guys. No, every single person I've talked to has said he is a phenomenal coach. A phenomenal coach. So, I can't speak to the business side. I don't know what their business dealings were. I don't know the money. I don't know the falling out. I don't know any of that. But what I do know for sure is that Dwayne Bang Ludwig is a hell of an MMA coach. And I think that's a huge addition to Matt, because I think those two guys, and I've known Bang for a lot of years, really, really good guy. He has a mind for MMA. The best way I can describe it is this, is that he is obsessed with mixed martial arts and making his fighters better. And I think every fighter should have somebody like that in their life that's obsessed with them getting better. Mark Henry, who coaches Frankie Edgar, Chris Weidman, some of those guys, I talked to him before UFC 205, because he was Eddie Alvarez's coach as well. And he was telling me, he's watching, he took a day off. He owns a pizzeria in New Jersey, and he took a day off to watch video. So he started at 7 a.m. When I called him at noon, he'd already watched 5 hours of video that day. He said he sat there obsessively watching Jeremy Stevens videos. And he does this for all his fighters. And it's just an amazing, just studying fighters, studying tendencies, studying the movements, patterns, things like that. And that's what Ludwig does, man. I know he obsesses over video. He obsesses over his fighters. And I think every fighter needs somebody like that in their life, whether we're talking about a coach or maybe it's your wife or your best friend or somebody
I don't need my wife obsessing over fighters.
Somebody that's obsessed with your success is my point. You know what I mean? And I think
I agree 100%.
Because we know how obsessed Matt is. We've seen
absolutely,
that.
But but Matt's a special kind of dude in the way that it takes a special kind of coach to be able to get his ear.
But when he told me that he was working with Bang, I was just like, yes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tremendous. And like I said, I don't think Matt has anything, necessarily to improve on. I think what we're going to see is a new look. I think we're going to see a different Matt Brown, and I think it's going to be exciting. And all props to Cowboy, who has been an awesome dude. The one thing that I don't think many people know is, they share a really common bond, Cowboy and Matt Brown.
Common bond?
Yeah, or at least a common coach. And Carlos Carvalho.
Oh, yeah.
My buddy Carlos was one of the first guys out in Colorado that Cowboy worked with.
Yeah.
I may be wrong about one of the first guys, but I know for a long time he was working with Carlos in Vail. And
I think a lot of people forget that Cowboy's from Colorado. Like, he's from there. Like, that's where he grew up. You know what I mean? Like, that's where he got his roots. So
yeah, dude. And so Carlos worked with him for a long time before Matt.
Yeah.
And then worked with Matt Brown for a long time. So it's interesting. So they will share that, a coach, and not much more. I mean, in your article, it's really telling, some training things that went on. I don't want to give away your article. People can read it at foxsports.com. But, it's really tremendous. I mean, Matt told you quite a bit.
It's interesting stuff. It'll be a good fight. What's funny about this card, too, UFC 206? Like, it's taken a lot of hits for people for pay-per-view, and I understand that. Because when you're plopping down $60 for a pay-per-view or $50 for a pay-per-view, I understand why you want to pop it down for something that feels special. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you see something like UFC 205, which is, Conor, 2 more title fights. Like that, when you look at that card, you're like, yes, that's easy to justify why you're spending $60. And this is not me trying to sell you on UFC 206. But what I'm saying is I understand if you don't buy UFC 206, I get it. Cause it's not a marquee card, but I really do like the people on this card. I mean, you got Tim Kennedy and Kelvin Gastelum. That's a fun fight. I tell you what, we're talking about Cowboy and Matt, which is probably, my favorite fight on the card. But the other one, Cub Swanson and Do Ho Choi, the Korean Superboy. Oh my God, that fight's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good one. I mean, listen, I think at one point Cub Swanson was one of my top guys, like as far as like fighters that I really followed, and I thought that was legitimately going to make it to the title. I mean, those few fights with him and Barao were kind of disappointing, but Cub Swanson's one of those guys, like a true fighter, man. He just fought his way back, and here he is, and it's a tough challenge, man.
Do Ho Choi is so good, man. I love watching this kid. So explosive, so nasty on the feet. But I tell you what, Cub Swanson is no joke, man. That guy has got some serious hands. He's creative. They matched him up, a couple of times with some wrestlers. And so, Cub had to kind of, he fought, if I'm not mistaken, he fought Hawker Diaz, which is just an awful matchup because Hawker Diaz is a clinch and stall, like wall and stall fighter. That's his marquee, is he walls and stalls guys. And Cub found a way to beat him, which is awesome. But this fight, I don't see any way this fight is not amazing. And then on the Fox Sports 1 prelims, you got a great light heavyweight fight between Nikita Krylov, everyone's favorite Nikita Krylov, and Misha Serkinov, who is a beast.
Yeah, that's
a great fight.
So you're telling me it's the pay-per-view is $60.
Yeah.
And but they're also going to charge for the Glory pay-per-view before that. I thought everything was on Fight Pass.
No, the they want it, dude. They want it. They want their Ted DiBiase money.
Everybody's got a price, Damon.
But I tell you what, though, if you're going to buy a Glory pay-per-view, Rico Verhoeven against Badr Hari is the way to do it.
Dude, Verhoeven against Badr Hari. This is going to be maybe the best fight Glory's ever put on.
I've never spoken to Badr Hari. I've followed his career, obviously. He's
put some money in his canteen one time.
He's so out there. But I have interviewed and will interview Rico Verhoeven. And Rico is a really good dude and a really damn good fighter and the best kickboxer in the sport today, best heavyweight kickboxer in the sport, bar none, like without a doubt. And this fight is awesome. Like when they announced it, I was just like, oh man, like cause I don't follow kickboxing that closely. Like I do, but I don't. Like
no, but let's be honest, it hasn't been worth it up to this point.
No, but like when you cause I used to stay up and watch the K1 kickboxing tournaments. Like I remember watching Alistair Overeem.
Sure.
and Mark Hunt, and Crow Cop and all these different guys that won.
But we're not familiar enough to start buying pay-per-views again. For kickboxing.
But when they announced Badr Hari against Rico Verhoeven, I was like, "Yep, you got me."
But without the clinch too, it really, I'm so reserved and I want to see a Muay Thai traditional. Lion fight is really my jam. But I mean, I enjoy Glory. I mean, if you want to see some people just wailing off at each other, I mean, that's what happens in Glory because they can't clinch and they discourage it.
It's different from even like K1 when Overeem was like clinching guys, just kneeing the hell out of him and stuff like that. Like,
unless you're doing work, you got to get out of that clinch immediately. You have to be in the clinch doing work right away. I mean, it's almost, I don't want to say impossible, but it's close to impossible to hold a clinch for longer than like a few seconds.
Yeah, my buddy Michael Stetz, who he was my co-host on my Sons of Anarchy podcast, Charming's Most Wanted. He's big, like way into Glory. Like he's done, he's worked with them and covered their shows for a lot of years. I think he even did commentary, if I'm not mistaken, for some show at once upon a time. But he follows it really, really well. So, like, I always ask him my kickboxing questions because I follow it. Like, I know the sport. I just don't know the fighters as well. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. Oh, there's a ladies' Grand Prix?
Is there?
Grand Prix?
Grand Prix?
Grand Prix.
Grand Prix.
Yeah, I believe so. And that's going to be on the pay-per-view as well. So that's $30.
Yeah. That's not bad. I mean, listen, I understand, like, that's a lot. That's, $90 in one day for some fights. But and again, this is not me selling you, but I'm just saying, like, if I'm going to invest in a kickboxing fight, it's going to be Badr Hari against Rico Verhoeven. Like, that's the one I'm willing to pay for. And I think Overeem's doing commentary on it, so that'll be interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so.
I told you in Cleveland, I sat next to his family. Yeah. His brother and,
I know you said it was rough because you're cheering for Stipe.
Well, yeah, because, I train at Westside Barbell, and, we are affiliated, with Strong Style. One of the original Westside guys is up there, and, they use the equipment and stuff. So, Stipe's become like, he's like family. You know what I'm saying? You got to cheer. Besides that, we're all based in Ohio. A lot of people, if they don't know that you and I, we do the show out of Columbus. But yeah, this is, somebody who's like, we're like, dude, we got it. This is in Cleveland. This is the Stipe defending the title.
Didn't you say it was really awkward? Like you were trying not to cheer because like when he got knocked out, I know you told me.
Well, let me tell you this. So I'm sitting next to his brother and his agent and his agent's hot ass wife. So like, it's almost so uncomfortable because she's all done up and everything. I'm like, I don't want the camera to flash on me, and my wife's at home, and here I'm sitting cage side because we were literally front row.
Yeah.
Matt, he got amazing tickets for us, and here's this woman. I'm like, my wife is gonna kill me. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not even doing anything.
I wasn't even supposed to be here today. But no, so I'm sitting there and she is so nice. She's like, if you want me to send an Alistar shirt to you, let me give you my business card. And she gave me her business card, which is not a fair accent that I'm doing right now, so I'm going to stop. And they were so nice and cordial during the fight. I mean, obviously, I like to think that I'm a respectable attendee, you know what I mean? I'm not over there like cussing or I don't drink beer, so I'm not drunk or anything like that, So, listen, it was very nice up until the main event, and then every time, it was going Stipe's way, I'd just get a little juice, just a little juice, but I would have to look out of the corner of my eye to see if they were looking. First of all, I don't want to get knocked out by Overeem's brother, but second of all, his agent and the wife were so nice, and it was just uncomfortable. Then when he won, I had to do this little celebration. I turned my back on him. I had to turn my back. I was like, I can't even see them watch me celebrate right now. But they got out of there pretty quick, which I don't blame them. You know what I mean? Obviously, you don't want to walk through a bunch of fans cheering for the guy that just beat your brother.
Yeah, that's rough. It's different for me in the media, of course, but I was, when you told me that story, I was like, man, that's rough. That's a rough story.
I'm a people person. I usually make friends everywhere I go. I'm not one of these, I'm not a controversial kind of person. So most people, I don't want to sound arrogant, but most people they like me. I think, people like me. So, I go and I make friends and I heard friends, and it's awkward at the end.
I heard this weekend your seats are actually sitting right next to Cowboy Cerrone's family.
Yeah, sitting with Cowboy Cerrone's family. Like, I don't know. Hey, how's it going?
Yes, you're wearing your I Am the Immortal shirt. Like, so who you rooting for? I don't know.
It's obviously, Matt and I are really good friends, and along with Damon, of course, and my family. All my kids, I have 4 kids, and now Matt, of course, with his huge family that he has now, with a bustling 3 kids. Now we got all of our families together. I went out there to Denver. We got a vlog series. You guys got to check them out. LoperandRatedTV.com. When we're out there, we go to Red Rocks.
You went to the greatest concert ever.
We went to Red Rocks to go see Goo Goo Dolls. He collected a soul, and Matt thought the band was called Collecting Souls, which I think is the only reason he agreed to go. But we wanted to go see a show at Red Rocks, is what it was about. It's a legendary amphitheater. The acoustics there are unbelievable.
Just keep telling yourself that. That's
and just slide. Yeah, dude, Johnny Resnick has so much plastic surgery. That's the lead singer for the Goo Goo Dolls. He has so much plastic surgery. But I'm going to tell you right now, that song "Long Way Down," fucking jam.
Dude,
okay?
Goo Goo Dolls used to be like a punk band back in the day.
No, I know. If you listen to like their earliest, thank you. People don't know that.
Yeah, they were like a punk band. Like I remember because when they had that one album, the one with "Long Way Down" on it, when that came out. And they kind of got big off that album. Like when that album came out, because I remember I heard them before that, and I was kind of into Goo Goo Dolls. And that album came out, and I liked it. I did. I'm not gonna lie, I liked that album. The Goo Goo Dolls album, "The Long Way Down." They had a couple other hits off there. I liked that. But then what did it was that damn "City of Angels" song.
Yes, 98.
That did it. And from there on out, they've turned into like. I mean, I don't even know what do you call it? Like you're in radio, you know.
It's called Hot AC. Adult contemporary, so it's like
hot shit is what it's.
Isn't that so terrible? So like AC, like adult contemporary would be like the station like you would listen to like when you go to the dentist, like what would be playing in the dentist, you know, like some like Mariah Carey, you know, like just some like super John Mayer, very vanilla type stuff, right? Now on Hot AC, everybody, we're gonna turn it up just a little bit of notches. All right, we're gonna get a little. Whoa, who's this coming in? MC Hammer. All right, whoa, don't get scared. It's rap music. You know, like, I'm just saying, it's like, it's basically the same music with a little bit of spice. So that's where you'd find like the Goo Goo Dolls or like, who else was famous at that time? The Goo Goo Dolls really had it on lock. I mean, the Cranberries.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those bands? Like the stations were always called like The Mix. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, hey, everybody, Scotty D here on The Mix. Playing a little Goo Goo Dolls.
We got the new Goo Goo Dolls, right?
Hey, hold you closer, everybody. Just like, goofy shit. So, that's where you would probably, but they were a band that alternative rock stations played before that. Yeah. Well, Iris, alternative rock played that first, and then, once it went, those bands.
I don't want the world to see me.
I mean, dude, can you imagine writing a better song for a wedding? I mean, it's unreal.
God. Like, it's just so weird though, like, because like when you hear them before, if you go back and listen to old Goo Goo Dolls, you would not think it's the same band. Like,
no, you'd be like, okay, so who's this?
Yeah. Goo Goo Dolls.
Do the real Goo Goo Dolls know about this old band?
Yeah, but they went so like it was a complete 180 from what they used to write, like what their old songs sounded like.
Yeah,
so
it's almost like Sugar Ray's like that too. Remember Sugar, like RPM? Like,
but then they have like, didn't Sugar Ray only have like one song though? Like
no. The album before, like, "Come On and Fly, Go Let It Fly," that song or whatever. Like the album right before that. Look up RPM.
And now Mark McGrath is on like Inside Hollywood. Or
I guess do your thing, man. I'm not mad at you.
Listen, you make your.
Here's the Goo Goo Dolls, "Long Way Down." Check this out. I mean, people don't know about the song, maybe like because I listen. I got to defend my Goo Goo Dolls trip.
Long Way Down, dude. They had a couple jams.
Dude, I was jamming so hard at Red Rocks. Matt was like looking at me like, dude, you're really into this, huh? Like,
halfway through the concert, Matt just leaves.
My wife and Colleen are having like the best time ever because like all of us are like stoked that we don't have kids. We don't have any kids. We got like together we have more kids than probably take the whole the whole amphitheater over. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a scary amount of kids. So we're just pumped to be out there with no kids. Just having a good time. So we got a whole vlog series. Like I said, we go out there. It's like 4 or 5 vlogs. It'll be, I don't know if you just go like, maybe like 5 or 6 back, you can find them.
Are we going to get, cause, in May here in Columbus, we got a big concert coming up.
Yeah. Rock on the Range.
And you know who's playing?
Metallica.
Yes, but Matt's favorite band is playing as well. Papa Roach is playing.
Of course, Papa Roach is there. I think Jacoby Shaddix. Even when he's not there, they just bring him in the host. That's what he did last year. He didn't even play.
So funny.
Remember he came out with Disturbed? And I ran into him backstage. I've known Jacoby for years. And I mean, honestly, the dude is a great guy. Dude, he's, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable talking on all that, but I was going to say he's been through some stuff, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Matt's favorite band, Papa Roach. Although at this point, he was giving us grief about Papa Roach, or actually giving you grief about Papa Roach. I'll pass the buck
because,
on that
the couple of years ago on the podcast, I said, Papa Roach was a decent band. I mean, I've seen them a bunch. I don't say decent. I like those guys. Like when they play, maybe it's because I've known them, but
But Matt just voluntarily went to a Goo Goo Dolls and Collective Soul concert. So
Would you say like his opinion's null and void now? Like
done.
Would you have to consider the venue? You know
Is there
a
moment in that vlog where Matt is jamming out to Goo Goo Dolls? Because I want to see that. I haven't seen that yet.
And Collective Soul. And Collective Soul. Collecting souls.
Collecting souls.
Yeah. Oh, you know what's so funny is like that night in the vlog, you can see it too. Like we go eat at this restaurant. It's like in the area of Red Rocks. And this mouse, dude, this like a family of mice just living on the floor. And like no one else is saying anything. And it was like, you know, Colleen and Randy are freaking out. Yeah, it's hilarious.
How did you choose this restaurant?
Wait till you see Matt's reaction. No, it's a great restaurant too. That's the weird thing. Colorado, man, there's wild ass animals, mice, coyotes, a wolf might get you. Dude, we saw some elk when we were out there. Did I see an elk or do I see what's the other one? Elk and moose.
Moose?
Didn't see a moose. I saw an elk.
Did you punch a kangaroo while you're out there?
I did not. That video is hilarious, though. That guy throwing his hands with kangaroo. Like, I would, too. Because kangaroo was like, what he's trying to do is he's trying to, like, secure, like, a front choke and then trying to, like, arm drag to the back and take that dog's back.
See, you lived in Florida where they have all kinds of weird animals and shit. Like, I don't think I'd want to live in an area where I'd have to worry about an alligator crossing.
Alligators are cool, man. Like, they don't bother you.
Like, we have some problem. Like, we don't have that problem in Ohio. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we might deal with some bugs or something. You know what I mean? You might deal with a garter snake somewhere like that, but you're not going to deal with a freaking alligator crossing.
Yeah, it's just like, it was like a thing when I was growing up. Now they tell us like everything they taught us originally in South Florida growing up. I imagine it was the whole state, like how to run away from an alligator, if that even makes sense. You were supposed to run like in a Z
zigzag
formation. Yeah, that's bullshit. Like they say that was fucking bullshit. Like supposedly the alligator wasn't. Here's their logic. Well, the alligator can't turn on a dime, like to do angles. Like who the fuck is testing out alligator angles? Who are you? You wasted parts of my life. I was running like a asshole, like at the age, you know, deathly afraid, deeply afraid. Now you're scaring a bunch of children, going, "This is the only way to live." Like,
you have to zigzag away from the alligator.
It's a terrible place to put kids, you know.
Did you ever encounter an alligator?
Yeah, all the time I see alligators, like, I mean, daily. I mean, like, you know, it was
seriously?
It wasn't a big deal. Like at the radio station, like at the lake behind it. I mean, if there's water and it's like, you know, moving water, they're going to be there. Like, you better not get in it.
Like did you ever run, like, literally, like, run into one? Like, see one?
Oh, yeah. Like in my backyard, like, I would have to go out with my dog, make sure, you know, like, you didn't leave the dog out there by himself, like, just in case. Like, because there would be gators in my neighborhood. You know, if they got too big, you just call, like, animal care and control, and they come out and, like, they don't kill it or anything. They just move it to another area.
Yeah.
But they come back. They know. And I saw a documentary because up to this point, like, most people thought alligators were stupid, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, they're...
Because you can run the zigzag getaway.
Well, he's a lizard. Plus, you run into Z, and hell, he don't even know. Watch me. You know, like, yeah, okay. So they did this whole thing where this family was camping, right? And long story short, every night this alligator would come and just sit and watch and watch. And then one night, like 4 days in, he got the dude in the tent that he was watching. And they think that it was because he was coming back and he was like checking in and he knew, but you would think like there's no memory retention. Like he's not going to remember, you know what I mean? Goddamn right he remembers.
Did that guy not run away in a Z pattern? Is that what happened?
He was sleeping, dude. Can you imagine you're sleeping and you get bum rushed by an alligator?
Dude, that's like, I always get freaked out watching those bear documentaries when they talk about bears attacking campers and shit. Like Grizzly Man, you seen that documentary?
Dude, that's what I'm saying. When you're out there, when I went to visit Matt in Colorado, like I went to the Rocky Mountain National Forest, and let me say something, man. Yo, I heard Cowboy Cerrone tell a story too about living out there. You know, ran into a mountain lion, and I believe it. That is the Wild West.
I am such like I grew up like kind of you know where I grew up in like the country-ish area. Like it's not like a city by any means.
Rural.
Yeah, very rural. I am a city boy now. Like the idea of running into an alligator in my backyard, like that does not sit well with me.
Oh, you would do it, yeah, in Florida, man. You'll see them in the city too, just because they get caught up. But listen, man, they're not gonna like if you play golf, you're gonna see great alligators, like terrific, huge ones, like, and all they want to do is sunbathe, man. They're for sure not interested in you unless like. You go over next to their nest because the last thing they want to do is like fight you. You know what I'm saying? Like they want to easy prey. Now, if you tripped and fell and twisted your ankle and they knew about it, they'd be like, "Psst, hey Jim, Damon looks like a delicious snack. He cannot run in a Z right now.
He's not getting away in a Z right now. I can't even crawl in a Z right now.
Man, the only thing that would make this conversation better is if Derek Lewis was here.
The Black Beast.
I don't know what else we have this week.
He'll
man.
take out a fucking gator. I'll tell you that.
He will take out I would pay great money to see Derek Lewis fight a gator. I mean, like if I was going to watch anybody fight a gator, that's my number one choice.
Derek Lewis versus a gator. It's the next
the
main
gator
event.
that killed that kid in Orlando too.
Yeah.
Make it interesting for the American public. Dana White, make it happen.
Derek Lewis versus a gator. I bet you he has a better shot than CM Punk did.
Yeah. The new owners of the UFC are like, that's a fucking good idea.
We'll sell some pay-per-views.
That'll make up for this pay-per-view this weekend. I kid.
Oh, man.
Now, this pay-per-view is going to be awesome. Of course, I mean, anytime you get to have two guys that just throw heat like Matt Brown and Donald Cerrone, two Muay Thai technicians, we've already talked about the stuff that's going on in these camps. So we'll find out Saturday, man.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll have Matt back on the podcast afterwards. I'm sure we'll talk
absolutely
to him, catch up with him after the fight. Next week on the podcast, I got big show because we got the Fox card next weekend in Sacramento.
Yes.
So I'm going to be talking to Paige Van Zandt, who main events the card. Going to talk to Uriah Faber. Your retirement fight is next weekend.
Wow, man. Dude,
and then Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall makes his return, and I'll talk to him about his fight with Sage Northcutt.
Wait, is that on that card too?
Yeah, next weekend.
Holy cow, I'm going to twist an apple, guys.
That's a great card.
Hey, Damon Martin, you can follow him at Damon Martin.
I want to see Sage Northcutt versus an alligator now, too.
No, they get that gator death roll on you, man. It's vicious. You can follow me at Jeremy Loper and check out our vlog channel, LoperandRandyTV.com. And I do a daily radio show in Columbus. Find it, Loper and Randy Show. See you guys next week.